What's up, guys? We're Morbid Curiosities, your favorite horror movie podcast, and we're back. Appropriately, we are back. I'm one of your hosts, Nicholas Ewers, and with me is the lightweight champion of the world, the morbid mistress of mayhem herself,
Mercedes Martinez. And yes, we are back for Nick's pick of the month. Bring her back.
Bring her back. We brought Mercedes back. We did it. We successfully brought her back. She came back for episode 37 of the podcast.
Yeah, I really didn't want to. Not for this one. This one was a rough watch for me. So I don't even know how to start this thing because my jaw was dropped the entire time watching this damn movie. So, oh my god, Nick, tell me what is your experience with this film and why the hell did you pick this film? My god.
Currently, Bring Her Back, I would say, is one of my favorite movies of the year. I've got it sitting up there with Materialist is one of them. I'm Still Here, Oscar nominated movie that I think may be able to count for this year. I'll have to look at the wide release date. And like Weapons, some pretty great movies, some pretty popular movies. Bring Her Back is one that fell a little under the radar. Not many, I don't really know anybody else who's seen this. My friends Jake and Amy, I think they logged it and their reviews were like pretty fucked up or something, 4 stars out of 5. And I was like, okay, at least I got some love. But for the most part, this flew pretty under the radar. Guys, if you haven't seen it, we're still in the spoiler free section, but it's on HBO Max, I think. I want to say it just dropped there. So definitely go check it out. I picked it because I kind of wanted to put it on people's radar, shine a spotlight on it. This is a movie from Michael and Danny Philippou. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're the Talk to Me guys. Talk to Me is a movie that I really love. Mercedes, what are your feelings towards Talk to Me?
Talk to Me was really good film, but it was also very dreadful to watch. I knew a lot of people talked about it, and you had said it was a good watch, so I was like, let me check it out one day. And I was by myself watching it, and this was one of the times that I wish my dog would actually cuddle with me when I need her to, because that just left me so unsettled, so sad, and I was just like, damn, what are these guys, like the brothers Michael and Danny, coming up with? Because this is like genius as well as gut wrenching to watch. So, yeah, I was hyped to watch this film because it was from those two, but at the same time, I was really, really nervous to watch it because of what they brought with Talk to Me and what you had even said, like that it's a little worse in comparison to Talk to Me. So, yeah, but my God, both films, it's like they're just cranking it up like more and more with all the like blood and gore that they're bringing to the table. So, I'm excited once Talk to Me comes out, but yeah, all both good films.
Yeah, I'm excited for Talk to Me as well. I Talk to Me is a movie that I love dearly. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast or if I've even shown you before. I don't know if I've mentioned it to you. I own a replica of the hand from Talk to Me.
Think you did tell me that. You should post that on the pod.
I will. Yeah, and we will eventually cover Talk to Me on this podcast too. We'll find the right time to really fit it in there. Talk to Me would have been my pick probably if Bring Her Back didn't come out this year cuz I've been looking for a moment to talk about that movie. But that movie, I was in like rehab at the time for a pretty bad drinking problem, and I got to like the sober living portion and I was like, okay, I'm going to see a movie immediately, and I rallied my friends together, my friend Tiana and Tyler, and I was like, let's go see Oppenheimer. And they were like, that movie's 3 hours. Fuck that. And I was like, okay, let's go see Barbie movie. And they were like, that's the Barbie movie. Fuck that. And I was like, fuck you guys. Okay, let's go see Talk to Me. It's a horror movie." And they're like, "Okay, cool." And these guys had never seen horror, and it was just such a blast. And I had such a lovely, heartwarming time seeing that. And I think about that movie with such fondness, even though it's like so brutal. I have such happy memories associated with it. And I'll end the Talk to Me story in a bit, but I just adore what these guys are doing. And all of this fueled me picking Bring Her Back. I feel like these guys are really bold filmmakers. They make divisive and frankly like very confident movies for guys who are just 2 movies into their career. Talk to Me was a slam dunk in my opinion. They have the sequel coming out. This feels like a real actual like one for them type movie. It feels deeply personal, and also I just like that it's not afraid to really make you uncomfortable or put you through something while also having a lot of heart and depth and real characters to it. You know, it's not just like a Terrifier where you're watching somebody get hacksawed from vagina to jawbone or something horrific, and that's that. You don't have anything to do with it. I mean, this movie does have some moments where I feel like it just leaves you to be like, all right, what do I do with this? And it does feel kind of intentional. Yeah, I just think this movie is a real boundary pusher and is doing something awesome with the genre that I wish like American studios had the confidence to do. This is a Causeway film. A24 distributed it. And it just I thought this movie was just it brings you a whole experience and more. And whether that hits you in a negative way or a positive way, I feel like this is a movie that will leave you affected. And because of that, it just feels important to talk about on the podcast. But yeah, that's why I brought Bring Her Back to the table, I guess. What are your thoughts on this movie?
Before jumping into it, I was like, "Am I ready to watch this film today?" Because I remember you saying, "Watch it on a good day. Don't watch it on a day where, like, you've had a rough day and basically hate the world." That's not really what you said, but yeah, and I was feeling pretty down yesterday. I was really sad, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
w I was like, "Fuck, I need to kinda calm myself down." I'm like, "I'll be okay. I can watch this." Yeah, watching it, thankfully, it didn't bring me to tears ever, but with each scene, I was just like, "What the fuck am I watching?" And I'm gonna kill Nick for making me watch this, which is why I was blowing up your phone because I'm like, "What the fuck am I watching?" And I had
Yeah, I was
to
driving when you were blowing up. I'm like, "Oh,
oh,
man, I
shit.
just see all caps. I hope this is okay."
Okay, I hope she's not mad at me.
Yeah, I
No,
was on
I
my way to watch the movie at home, actually.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a rough watch, and I say that with a lot of things, but man, I thought the Terrifier movies were a little, like, shaky for me to watch, but yeah, like you said, it's not just, like, cutting people open from end to end here, like, there's a story behind it, and, you see more of a purpose in here, and it's very like I'm happy you got some good memories with watching this film and, it's a little more meaningful to you. Like, I respect that, and I love when people can have memories like that from movies because
Well, that
movies
was
that
Talk to Me
Oh, talk to
that
me,
story
sorry.
was from. Yeah, I saw this
Sorry.
movie alone, but I was still like it was one where I was, like, just blown away in the theater how just wild it made me feel, and even I was afraid to watch it yesterday. Horror movies don't do that to me anymore. It's this movie has a power to it. Sorry, like, to cut you off.
No, 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 you're fine. But they are very powerful, and honestly, it's rare when I feel like movies can leave you feeling like that. So with this one, I was still kind of in a shaky headspace like, "Damn, I don't think I'm gonna have a good night now because I'm not in the best state of mind right now, and I'm about to watch a really fucked up film, but let's go. It's for the pod, and I can always yell at Nick later." And yeah, with each scene, again, my jaw was just on the floor, or I was just making like the most uncomfortable face ever because I was cringing at every single scene. And yeah, it these guys, Danny and Michael Filippo, like they are doing some work here. Like and it's crazy how with each film it's just getting better, it's getting darker. And for these to be their first 2 films, it's just crazy, like, and it makes me, like, highly anticipate what else they have coming out, so, yeah, but with this film, I really had to watch something happy or something to make me laugh after because it left me so unsettled. I needed a good hour or so to, like, come back to earth and ground myself. It was a rough watch. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, this movie's kind of been living in my mind all day, and when we get done recording, I'm actually rushing out of here to go see a screening of Blue Moon, the new Richard Linklater movie about, I think it's the opening night of Oklahoma, but it's like it looks like a nice Ethan Hawke, like, music history kind of movie, and it's really gonna cleanse me of, the horror we've watched because we got another horrific Ethan Hawke movie earlier this week that we talked about, and
Mhm.
it's just been a really loaded week of, some pretty upsetting subject matter in movies. A lot of kids in peril that we've had to watch. So I'm really looking forward to that that palate cleanser. Even though I love Richard Linklater as a filmmaker. You had shouted out or we'd both mentioned how effective the directing is, the filmmaking as a whole. The special effects artists in this behind this film, I was watching some videos. The prosthetic work they did for this thing is insane. Like Billy Barrett, the guy who plays Andy, they made like a whole prosthetic of his torso, his head, his arm. I think like well, I won't, I almost spoiled, but they have prosthetics for like every body part for like Oliver, that character, and it's all so wild. They have prosthetic teeth for certain scenes, and we'll get into why they need those teeth, but the work in that department and the acting too, like Billy Barrett, Sally Hawkins, Sarah Wong, those three are all incredible. They feel like such real life people. Even like Oliver is so just the actor Jonah Ren Phillips, he delivers such a crazy and memorable performance. Like so much credit to that guy for being willing to be seen the way he's seen in this movie. And even like the case manager, she's super funny and awesome for the moments that she's in the movie. So like there's a lot of talent in this movie across the board. I just I'm ready to dive deep into this thing. How about you?
I am ready. Before we jump into it and just go into full spoiler mode, I just want to give a shout out to a couple of our listeners, Emily Rocks and Nye. Thank you guys for writing in on Spotify. Thank you guys for always tuning in. And yeah, just anyone else who wants to write in, we're still doing our listeners pick for next month, and just show us some love on our Instagram, morbid underscore curiosities underscore pod, and rate us 5 stars on Spotify. And yeah, but fully ready for our spoiler review on Bring Her Back.
Where to begin with this one? I guess we can kind of just talk about, do a little table setting right up top. Sarah Wong, the actress I mentioned earlier, she plays this character, Piper. Piper is visually impaired. Sarah Wong, the actress in real life, is also visually impaired. I already shouted her out, think she does a fantastic job. But it opens with her, and you just immediately care for this character. She tries to make friends with these kids who end up really just being shitty behind her back. And her stepbrother Andy comes in to kind of like care for her. You fall in love with him immediately, and their dynamic. She calls him a pedophile in front of those girls as like a joke because she's embarrassed to have him around. They come home from school one day and found their father dead on the shower floor. It's immediately upsetting. It's really hard to watch. It kind of reminded me, and it's not as effective. It's not as good of an intro, but was in the same vein as like Midsummer, where it's like, oh shit, we're beginning this movie at like a 10. And yeah, it's right away, you're just left feeling uncomfortable, upset, like the reveal of the dad uh, being dead too. It starts with like Andy yelling for help, something, but you see Piper running around the house, feeling around. Everything in her perspective has is shot with like a shallow depth of feel, so it's all super out of focus. You just see her hand running across these different surfaces as she grabs a knife to open the door. It's just masterful work from these guys, and I don't wanna throw that word around too lightly, but these guys, for where they're at in their career, their visual storytelling, the way they're just able to convey information so quickly and get you into this world and these characters' lives, I think it's just impeccable work. What are your thoughts on this intro?
This intro was insane. Starting it off, like you said, starting it at a 10, I was like, well, damn, I know I'm not going to fall asleep during this film. It was very, very unsettling to have this girl. Is it Sarah or Sora Wong?
Sora, did I say
Sora.
Sarah?
I think you did, yeah.
Okay, Sora Wong, yeah.
Yeah, to have an actress in here who is visibly impaired and have her, trying to, alert her brother, like, hey, dad's not answering, and for them to break into the bathroom just for the brother to find him on the ground, obviously dead. I just felt so bad for the brother because clearly you don't see this right away, but just seeing like how he's, kind of like the older protector for his sister. One is an older brother, but because she is visibly impaired, like you see that that's a big responsibility on his shoulders. So now the fact that he just walked in and saw his dad dead on the ground, that's already traumatizing just to find dead person, but also for it to be your dad, that's also going to be weighing on his shoulders, and you see how it's affecting him right then and there. He's kind of in that well, he is in that state of shock, and he can't really answer his sister, and he's the one who explains everything to Piper, and so she's finding him for herself. That was so hard to watch because, like, just unfortunately with my mom passing away, and anyone who has lost someone, if you are unfortunately in that position where you do find them, that's very, very, very traumatizing and hard to live with and, deal with. So to see it on screen, such a fucked up and brutal way to open this film.
They kind of add another layer to it a little later. I don't remember the exact point, but it cuts back. There's like a flashback and you see that Piper had a little bit more involvement. She was trying to resuscitate the dad. It's a very like bleak and like kind of vivid representation of that experience. And the way like Andy stands like paralyzed and the thought of it paralyzes him. He doesn't look at like a shower the same. It feels, and I think there's something too. He showers with his clothes on at one point. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't really fully know what that's about, but like these characters feel genuinely affected by this in real ways. I think.
Yeah, and I think the dad, he had, like, thrown up, he had vomited or something, he had, like, bile and
Yeah, even though there's a bit of a question mark behind his death. I don't know if you did you catch, so we can like hop around a little bit and kind of like pick up pieces in order if we want. But like there's a scene, I know we haven't gotten to Sally Hawkins' character yet, but there's a scene in a hospital where she reveals, like she says real quick, "When I killed your dad." And did you catch that?
I did not catch that actually.
Yeah, so she says to Andy, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but everything will be okay.
Yeah, we'll go back.
Yeah, but so I quoted it. She said, "You don't think it's because." So Andy's in the hospital. He's talking about the rain, and he was like, "My dad came to me in when I was in the shower. I saw him in a vision," which turns out later. I think we can believe, or we are to believe, that that is actually Oliver, that demon possessing Oliver, whatever's inside of him. Kind of, he ate the dad's hair and is able to kind of impersonate the people whose flesh he ingests. So the dad is like, "She's going to die in the rain," referring to Piper, and he mentions that to Laura, Sally Hawkins' character, and she responds real quick, "You don't think it's because your dad died in the shower when I killed him?" And then he was like, Andy's like, "What did you say?" And then she was like, "You don't think you're associating, like, the shower, your dad's death," and just it's not talked about, and it just totally breezed past. And I was like, wait a minute. Did Sally Hawkins kill their father? And now that I kind of brought it up now, rush to it because we're on the scene, and I want, like, is there anything in the scene that gives you any kind of indication that she would have done that?
I assume there was, like, some form of foul play here because, I'm thinking, okay, he might have collapsed or had a stroke in the shower and, the impact from his head hitting the ground must have killed him. But then once you see all the vomit on his face and, Piper, who was trying to resuscitate him, clearly doesn't see that. And, with the flashback of Andy seeing her do that, you see all of it on her mouth. That was so, so, so repulsive to see. But, clearly in that moment, you don't care. You're just trying to help your loved one not die. And also, she can't see it. But that just like gives you even more an inside look on how horrific this film is going to be just at a glance. But yeah, just the fact that, he had vomit, like, all on his face, I was thinking something has to be up with that, or there has to be, like, a reason why that happened. So, I didn't kinda put 2 and 2 it together, and I didn't hear what's her name? Sally Hawkins say that.
Laura.
Laura, yeah, I probably would have caught it later. I do like to watch the movies that we cover at least twice for the podcast, but just so the first one I can watch it and actually like experience everything, and then the second time around so I could take notes. Just because the first time I tried to watch a film that I hadn't seen and take notes, it took me forever because I kept rewinding previous scenes.
Yeah, I do the same exact thing.
Yeah, after this, I'm like, I cannot rewatch this. I am going to do the best I can. This is literally a one and done deal. I could rewatch Talk to Me. I can't rewatch this. This, oh my god. I I struggled with this one.
And yeah. And I know I just jumped forward a little bit, but I got to jump back because I forgot to mention a little bit more table setting too. The movie opens with something even like weirder. It opens with some like weird ritual actually, and it's like a woman in a circle, and there's people hanging in the background, and someone's videotaping it on, like, handheld camera, a camcorder or whatever. They're filming a tape that becomes a big part of the plot later, but
Yeah, there's a moment after the death scene of the father where Andy and Piper they are in the what is her name? The
Wendy,
woman Wendy,
she's like a case
the
manager at
casement, yeah.
yeah, at this, like, foster home type of place.
Yeah, so she's, telling them, what's going to happen essentially, and that, she found like a great person for Piper. And I forgot how the conversation came up, but before she tells them that they're going to be separated or after, they say the word grapefruit. And I guess that's
It's like their
to
safe word.
yeah, so it's like they wanna make sure the other person isn't lying or, like, just, in that safe zone to be vulnerable with each other, and I like that because, a lot of siblings, unfortunately don't have that. The ones that are lucky enough who are able to communicate with each other, I love seeing that bond, but, you really feel that with these 2 because, again, you have the older brother who's trying to be that, like, protector for his sister, and you do see that when it comes to them using that term grapefruit, but you also have her doing that too because he wants to make sure she's okay, and throughout the film, she's trying to, just let people know, I don't like using my cane because it has people or it makes people treat me differently. So, she's trying to at least show, like, I'm just like everybody else. So he always wants to make sure she's okay too. But I love the fact that they have that little safe word here.
Yeah, that safe word, the bond that they have. I like too that I don't think they ever take the time to explain the safe word. A lesser movie would have been like, "Oh, we say that because of this, this happened when we were kids." It's like this movie doesn't really hold your hand. It puts a lot of shit in front of you. It's the exact opposite of the Black Phone 2 problem, actually. And so I wouldn't categorize this as a problem necessarily, but Black Phone 2 felt the need to to grind the movie to a halt and explain what is happening. And at no point does this movie stop to tell you what anything is, expects you to get it, and I think it does a good job of getting its point across through showing you and not telling you. And that grapefruit thing is a great example because you get it right away, and it's I forgot who says it to the other first. They both say it back and forth a lot, and you get the idea like, okay, these two like are kind of all that each other has. And Andy, he's like they're talking about separating the two. Andy is saying they cannot be separated. He looks after her, and she tells him you can apply for guardianship when you're 18. But Laura, Sally Hawkins' character, she ends up accepting both of them into her house. And do you have anything else to say about the counseling scene before we move ahead?
No, we can jump ahead now.
All right, so yeah, then they're off to Laura's house. Andy crashes the car, and it's kind of a fun moment. But as he's walking inside, he turns back around and sees the broken mirror, and he kind of has a reaction. And I read that as, oh, he was fixing the mirror at the time that his dad was found dead. So these little things are still haunting him. And again, it's nothing the movie just explicitly says. You just are supposed to read it from what's happening. But we meet Laura through Piper's POV. And so we're meeting her again, that shallow depth of field. She's out of focus, and I think we're introduced to her voice first, and she walks right on screen. And I got to take a moment to shout out Sally Hawkins. She's not in, I mean, she's in a lot of movies. I don't think she's in a crazy amount of well-known mainstream movies outside of the 2 first, like, American Godzilla movies that came out from, like, Lionsgate or whatever, and the Paddington movies, and actually Wonka, but she's in, like, The Shape of Water and a bunch of other indie movies, like Happy Go Lucky. She's an incredible actress. The Shape of Water, that was actually one of my Criterion picks from over the weekend that I mentioned on Black Phone too. It's a beloved movie, to me. Sally Hawkins is one of my favorite working actresses right now. So I right when she comes on screen, I just know I'm in good hands, and I knew she was the villain going into this movie. So I was excited to see what she had to bring, and we'll get more into her character, but her introduction is great. She loves Piper. It seems like she's not too hot on Andy. We also meet Oliver in this moment. He almost kills her their he almost kills Laura's cat after Andy accidentally lets him outside. And also in this moment too, Laura drops a detail saying that she has a dead daughter named Kathy. She drowned, and she also mentions that she's had Oliver since before Kathy passed away. So that was a detail that caught my eye or caught my ear and piqued my interest.
Oh, that detail I didn't hear. The only well, aside from her strange behavior, I picked up on okay, she had a daughter who was blind and is now dead, but she still kind of kept the house as is or as it was when her daughter was alive, like, she kept the carpet taped up so her daughter wouldn't trip or anything. So I'm thinking, "Okay, this is all a setup now because her daughter was blind, Piper is visually impaired. Let's see what's gonna happen with this because it's not gonna be anything good." But yeah, you can start picking up very quickly that, Laura does not like Andy at all. She just gives him such a trashed room. Like, she didn't even put in any effort to make his room, like I was trying to think of the word yesterday and I still can't think of it. Just like essentially livable. She just like has a crappy mattress in there that he doesn't even fit on. And I mean, I figured the room that she gave Piper was how or was Kathy's room and just kept the exact same.
It is the exact same. There's a point
Yeah,
where Wendy is at the house, and she was like, "Oh yeah, Piper said she loved the room and to keep it exactly the same." And Wendy mumbles under her breath, "Thank God the girl's
it
blind,"
goes
or
blind.
something like
Yeah.
that. I was like, "Oh, that's a good burn." I love Wendy, man. She's like the hero of this movie, MVP almost.
Yeah. Yeah, she's cool. And it's just like, damn, this poor kid, Andy, like, he already knew she didn't want to, like, bring him into the home, but thankfully she did, so they wouldn't be separated. But he has such a crappy, like, living space there. And then, after they get settled in, Laura does come in his room while he's texting, and he had already, like, bad mouth. It's Ollie or Oliver?
It's both. Ollie is his nickname.
Okay.
Oliver, real name something else. We'll learn later.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
calls him a fucking weirdo, though.
Yeah,
That extra fucking, especially reading that in text, man, it stings a little more.
it does, and he had sent that message to his friend, like, right when Laura came in, and she's trying to talk to him and say, "I'm a counselor, you can talk to me. You don't have to be so defensive." And you see he's kind of questioning her, like, "Am I being defensive?" So they do have, like, a bit of tension in the conversation.
And her saying "you can talk to me" makes me think that this takes place in the Talk to Me cinematic universe.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, good catch.
Mhm. And I guess, Piper needed Andy at that moment, like, she was banging on the wall for him, and he had left his phone on the bed, and I knew right then and there shit was gonna go down because Laura's nosy ass grabs it and is reading it, and so she does let him know, like, "Oh, so you think my son or Ollie's a fucking weirdo, like, okay. So it's like, damn, right off the bat, she's not gonna like him anymore, even though she didn't in the beginning.
That's such an aggressive parent or guardian move, though, to grab the phone while you're in the room and start
Mhm.
going through it, and the justification to be, "Oh, you got a message, so it was okay for me to start reading them." I was just like, "That is overstepping a line immediately," and,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's younger, so he's not really at the point where I mean, he's accused of being aggressive or violent, so he's gotta watch himself in this home now, and Laura's already really almost, like, setting him up to try to be aggressive, but, man, in that moment, you gotta be like, "Yeah, I called him a fucking weirdo. Why are you going through my phone?" That's the bigger line that's being crossed right now.
Right, like, what happened to privacy? And you would think he could say, like, "Hey," something along the lines of, like, "We just met each other, I would like to have a little privacy," something, but he doesn't say anything, probably just so he doesn't come off as a troublesome kid since he was already labeled that with Wendy, and that was why Laura initially, quote unquote, "didn't wanna take him." It was already a strange situation right then and there.
Yeah, and Laura just keeps ramping it up even more. The next transgression or aggression that we get from Laura is they're at the funeral for their dad, and basically, like, Andy can't look at the dad. The sister says grapefruit, and he's like, he looks great. Dad looks great. But Andy actually didn't look at the dad. Laura calls him out on it in front of Piper, completely out of line. But Laura has this positive attitude towards her that makes all of this seem like it's okay for her to do. And I feel like I've met people that do this in real life, these kinds of people who have this very positive demeanor, this cheerful demeanor up front, but they really will make you uncomfortable. And there's something nasty that's behind them. And it occasionally will come out in passive aggressive moments or overstepping boundaries. And before we get into like the second aggression, she at one point in this funeral scene mentions that the spirit stays in the body after death
Oh my
for so
god.
long. Yeah,
That
so
pissed me off.
she's seeding all of this, like her plan, what's going on with her in the movie pretty early on, but she's also using that as a way for Andy to kiss the body in the casket, I want to say. And that scene is so uncomfortable. I was just like, I've met somebody who would put somebody in this position and really lecture you and make you feel like you're the one in the wrong. There are people like this in the world, and I was just, oh man, it's such a almost genius idea for a villain to me. You really just start to despise her pretty early on, and you want other people to see the charade that she has built, and you yourself want to see behind the charade what is underneath this woman.
This whole scene was very triggering for me personally to watch. Like, starting off just with like small things. What Laura is wearing is so inappropriate for a funeral. Like, I mean, I wear black all the time, and my dad loves to throw that line out like, "Oh, you look like you're going to a funeral." So I'll be like, "Well, maybe I am," like Johnny Cash. But it's just like, okay, she does say later on, like, "Oh, funerals don't just have to be, sad. Like, it's a celebration, blah, blah, blah." It's like, okay, but the way their dad died is not really a way for them to, think of his funeral as a celebratory moment or, a celebration of life. So that was bothering me, and how she called the Andy out like, "Oh, you lied to your sister because you didn't look at him," and, like, manipulating him to go see his father. It's like anyone who has dealt with death and losing someone, everyone deals with mourning differently, and I would have been the same exact way, like, I was the same exact way, when my mom passed away, like, my siblings and I, we didn't wanna see her in that state, like, we wanted to remember her how she was when she was alive, and we wanted her siblings to, see her that way too. And I have also dealt with people at a different funeral who were so pushy to try to get, you know the family of the lost one to do things that they wanted to do or what they thought was right. Not what with not respecting what the family wanted, but only doing what they thought was right. And it's like, this is not about you. Stop fucking overstepping your boundaries and let the family grieve and deal with this how they can in the only way they know how to. So this royally fucking pissed me off and made me loathe this woman so bad. I hated watching this scene, and just with that alone was making me so uncomfortable. And then how she was trying to get Andy to kiss his dad on the lips. Oh my god, I wanted to turn the fucking movie off right then and there. This was just making my blood boil.
I know exactly what you mean about being at a funeral for someone in your life and somebody there's like something is said that is a wrong time. It's like, this isn't that type of funeral, my guy. All of that, everything you said and everything that happened in the movie reminded me of a funeral that I went to. I'll just say it was for my grandma, and I went to a church in Missouri out where she lived. We had another funeral back at home, but I traveled to be with other family and all of this stuff. But this preacher at this church that we were at went on this whole spiel about, like, so my grandma basically had a rough last couple years before she passed away. It was not it was the passing was a thank God that she is no longer suffering type of passing. And the preacher in that moment at that funeral was so, like, praise the Lord and happy and gung ho, and was like, right now she's up there just praising the Lord for everything. She's so happy to be praising the Lord. And I was like, my guy, like, she suffered for the past year or so. Like, this, it was making me actively angry. I was like, oh man, this is not the funeral. This is not the setting, man. This is grieving right now. And your happy gung ho attitude feels like it's in pretty poor taste.
Yeah, and I hate that because there's a time and place for people to be like that. Again, everyone has their own beliefs and you are welcome to those, but do not like be oblivious to other people's not it's not even oblivious, it's kind of being ignorant too. Like, don't be, like, so ignorant to other people's emotions because you can look at a situation a certain way. You can't expect everyone else to, feel the same way that you are. So, yeah, this movie just brings out so many like emotions of grief, of death. It's very very difficult to watch everything unfold.
Yeah, and I kind of have a little bit of an issue, and I don't know why or where it comes from, but I have a little bit of an issue with people telling me what happened to somebody after they've passed. I've had like a couple people in my life pass away, and you immediately hear, this is where they're at. This is what they're doing in the afterlife. This is what's happening. And I'm like, you don't know that. It almost just is insulting that you're kind of bringing me to this place right now. I don't know.
No, I get that because this will be, like, the last thing I say, and then we can jump back to the film, because everyone has their own beliefs on what happens in the afterlife, and, losing my mom, that was such a difficult time for me, and, you know, I have my own beliefs, I won't talk about them, but, she also was dealing with, you know illnesses throughout her life as well. So once she did pass away, obviously it was a hard time, but same thing, like in my eyes, I'm like, at least she's not suffering anymore. But, when other people have passed away, hearing how they believe things happen in the afterlife, just like certain things, I can't think of the words essentially or exactly, but some people believe, people suffer like in their lives before they pass away because they're making up for all their sins. Like that's something that my mom had told me at one point, which I really did not like because she told me that as a kid. Some people believe, you're stuck after you pass away because what if you can't find your way to heaven, or what if you're suffering because of all the things you did in life? It's like some of those things when I heard it, it was like, "Wait, I can't listen to the stuff like that right now because if I do, it's going to make me go crazy about my own mother." So, like, then if you have people who are more so on the happier side, like, "Oh, like they're in a better place, this and this," or just trying to like speak on their behalf, like, it's like, please don't do that. Like, you are probably coming from a good place, or like you have like good intentions to say that, but like just kind of like be a little more sensitive to when someone is dealing with losing a loved one. Like there's so many different stages of grief, and no one grieves the right way because there is no right way. So seeing this shit in this film was so fucking hard to watch, and even like some of the scenes in Talk to Me were hard to watch too, just because of how it is to lose someone. But yeah, these 2 films bring out a lot of emotions of grief. It's hard to deal with.
Yeah, this one especially is a very grief-stricken movie, and everything you said right there was very beautifully put. I wish what I said came across as good, but,
Oh, stop.
at the end of the day, people grieve in their own ways, and
Mhm.
you can't really come in and dictate or control people's grieving process. Like in this movie, Andy and Piper, their dad hasn't really been dead that long. And Laura comes in and it's already like, you're grieving the wrong way. This should be a celebration where, yes, that is a perspective. And you can encourage people if they're stuck in a certain type of grief for too long, you can encourage them to maybe try something else. But this is like very early on. It almost feels inappropriate, but she basically gets them, they get drunk, which I mean, that is something people do to cope. And ends up turning into a bit of a party that ends up kind of believable. It successfully gets them out of their bit of depression, but it ends up being a totally manipulative play from Laura. She has a heartfelt conversation with Andy after all of this, and yeah, and completely lies about it. She tells Piper the next day that Andy got aggressive and is like, "I'll tell you in the car. I'll tell you in the car." But I'll tell you in the car, Piper. But then we also get the reveal that she's been pissing Andy's pants for him. He woke up with piss pants, but she's been pissing his pants for him. That's so diabolical, man. That's like the most villainous act I've seen in a movie.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think this kid wet himself. I don't think he's at that state of trauma or anything of the sort. So I wonder, like, what happened there. I'm like, maybe she just, like, threw something on him, whatever. But the whole act of her making sure he's, like, knocked out and well, passed out, I should say, and then the whole act of her peeing in that cup so she could pour it on him, I'm like, "Are you serious? Did I really just see that?" That's, like, witchy, culty stuff, like, the creepy culty
Yeah.
stuff. Oh my god.
Would you do that to your worst enemy? Would you stoop to those
Hell
lengths?
no. I've done some fucked up shit to people, but I would never do that. No,
You've
that's
never peed
crossing.
somebody's pants for them?
No, no. That
Alright,
that's
what about putting on their pants, peeing, then taking them off? Would you do that?
no, not at all. That's like
Alright,
entering Seed of Chucky zone. We don't do that here.
fair enough. Yeah, basically, so we don't see the aftermath of, like, Laura saying that he was aggressive. I think this is where I think Laura also outs that he peed his pants or peed the bed in front of Piper.
Mhm.
And just the way she does it, she's like, "Is that piss?" And, like, just completely throws Andy under the bus. It's so shitty. So, yeah, we don't see any payoff to the Laura, Andy being aggressive thing, but Andy gets left alone with Oliver. I think this is the point where all of that happens. And basically, Ollie, he's locked in Laura's room, and Andy is like, "Okay, I'm gonna fuck around and get Ollie out of here." He grabs a knife, gets him out of the room, and is offering Ollie cantaloupe, right? This is that moment, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, he offers him cantaloupe on a knife, and then Andy's like, "Let me get you a plate," you know, in his Australian accent. And as he's going to get a plate, you hear this knife gnawing noise. It just immediately so in the theater, everybody knew what the fuck was happening the moment Andy turned around. It's like you hear that crunch. It's like, is this kid just eating the knife? Oh my god! And that sound effect, it was one of the brothers. They actually, I guess, actually chewed on a knife to get that chewing on a
No,
knife
they
sound.
didn't. Are you
That's
lying?
he said that in an interview. I don't know which one of the twins it was, but it was one of them. It was the one who what isn't bald and wasn't wearing a yellow hoodie in the
How the fuck did they do that?
he might not have been chewing on the sharp part of the knife, he might have just been chewing on the flat side of it pretty
Oh
aggressively,
my
but
god.
that sounds so hard on your teeth, but also, I mean, I might be telling tales out of school, but I think I saw from following these guys on Instagram that one or both of them does, like, hardcore wrestling, like, serious hardcore wrestling where they're getting hurt and, like, going through glass and getting nails stuck in them or whatever crazy shit. So, these guys are pretty hardcore in real life. These fucking crazy Australians, these dudes from down under.
Seriously, like, how are you pulling this off? Yeah, because when I saw Ollie, like, grab the knife with his hand, I'm like, "Oh my god, this kid." Like, Andy's gonna turn around and this kid's hand is gonna be all sliced up, or he's gonna be chopping off his hand or something, and then as soon as I started hearing that, I'm like, "Wait a minute, no, we have not entered this area."
And I think at this point too, it's I want to say I'm getting the movie out of order a little bit, but I want to say it's already been revealed at this point too that Ali is some type of demon bathtub creature because Sally Hawkins, the wonderful Sally Hawkins, is chatting with him in the bathtub, and she's like, "How can I believe you're real?" This might be later. I think no. I want to say this is earlier. I don't know. Listen, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure, but yeah, she's like, "Show me that you're real," and he turns on the sink, hot water. I want to say that's how it plays out. It gets all steamy, and it's revealed. Yeah, he's like a fucking demon and she calls him an angel later. He's like, "You got all this backwards. Did you not see the shit that I saw? What was in the mirror? Did you not see?
Right?
Didn't look like no angel to me. I just saw Good Fortune the other day, where Keanu Reeves plays an angel. That fucking bathtub demon didn't look like Keanu Reeves to me.
Yeah, no, this was so insane to watch because I'm like, "All right, this kid is not just a fucking weirdo, he's a demon." And you even see oh, no, maybe let me not jump to that part so quickly. Well, we can obviously jump back, but yeah, you see, like, Ollie doing, like, some strange things, like how he tried to kill the cat in the pool earlier in this movie.
And he took a bite out of the cat's tail too.
Yeah, and then
And he impersonates the cat in the bathtub as well, because he
oh,
ate the cat's hair. I am just now
true.
picking up on that's why it was he was purring.
And, like, he's, chewing on a knife and everything, doing all this crazy stuff. But then you see a part where when Laura is in the room with Ollie, you see her watching footage from, like, kind of like the culty stuff that was going on at the beginning. And then she looks at Ollie at one point and you see his face, like, normally he looks like he's in, like, a trance and his eyes, like, are that trippy color, but then he's looking at her and you see, like, pure fear on his face, and he says, like, "Who are you?" or "What do you want?" or he says something,
Yeah,
asks
this
some
is after
question.
Andy brings him out of the circle. Yeah,
Yeah.
after the knife scene. Yeah, oh yeah, this all happens right back to back. This is fucking a crazy 10 minutes of movie we're watching.
Yeah, you just see all this crazy stuff unfold, and then she turns up, like, some music really loud so Andy and Piper don't hear, but then you see the kid, he's, like, screaming at this point because he doesn't know what's going on, and she does, like, some type of, like, circular motions with her fingers on his head, while she's watching them do the same on that, video she's watching, and then you see him kind of, like, become not paralyzed, but, in that trance state again. So it's like, okay, this boy, he obviously is a boy, and he's still in his body. He's still alive, but she has like some demonic shit going on where she's like kind of keeping a demon hostage. So it's like she's probably doing that to get what she wants, whatever it is. Probably has to do with Piper, but it just made me feel so bad because it's like, wow, not only are these 2 kids, Andy and Piper, in danger, but obviously so is this boy, Oliver.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, but so after all of this, we do get a shot, an overhead shot of the house, and you see there's a giant circle. So we're kind of able to put it together at the audience, like, okay, Andy brought him outside of the circle. There's some type of weird ritual going on. This kid's got a bathtub demon inside of him, and her doing circle massages on his head keeps the demon in the that's all it takes. It's just the circle. There's no other part of the ritual. There's nothing else she's doing.
Not that I remember, no.
Yeah, and she's doing it while watching the video footage of what we saw earlier in the movie. And whatever circular motion she's doing, whatever ritual has taken a normal kid and welcomed a demon inside of him. And this like demon kid, whenever he ingests some type of flesh, we've seen this, he in some way has that person or creature inside of him. We're about to get another look of it coming up in the movie, but we get a good idea of it when he's eating a part of the cat and he's imitating cat sounds. After all of this freak out shit with Ollie and chewing on the knife and it being so fucked up, and I mean, dude, that knife scene lives in my head. I'm never going to be able to shake it. I went to bed with that scene in my head and think about it often. But Laura feeds Ollie a bit of the dad's hair that she must have gotten from the funeral. I want to say maybe we got a shot of her clipping the hair. I can't fully
Yeah.
remember. So she feeds it to Ollie, and you're like, okay, what the hell is happening there? And later, when Andy is in the shower, he sees his dad telling him she's going to die in the rain. We are to believe, referring to Piper. So, and that I'm pretty sure is Ollie, him eating the dad's hair. He's somehow the steam in the way that she was able to see the demon through the steam. He is seeing the dad through the steam. So that's the logic we are to believe that this movie is working by. But so to kind of dive deeper into what is happening here, the demon is inside of Ollie. Laura has a dead kid in her freezer. We're gonna find out later. A little freezer kid. Very upsetting. That's her daughter Kathy, and she's got Piper, this new daughter. And so the plan is, and what she's been watching in the videos, we see in the video, this woman eats the face of somebody they just hung and vomits inside of somebody else's face, and that person wakes up and they're all crying in Russian or whatever. And so we're to believe what's going to happen is Ollie, bathtub demon, is going to eat the frozen dead kid, Kathy, Laura's daughter, her face, and vomit into dead Piper's body. Then Piper is going to become Kathy. Kathy is going to inhabit Piper's body. I also got details behind the video wrong. I think the person they're hanging is the person that the spirit is going into. It's all fucked up, but you have to kill the person in the way that the person you're bringing back died. So I might have done a bad job of explaining it, but that's the logic that we're operating at this point when Ollie is being a shower dad instead of a shower demon to Andy.
And it just these movies bring those questions up. It's like, how far are you willing to go for that relief where you can bring a loved one back? And it's like there have been all these like stories and movies where it's like, oh, if you do it or if it's like accomplished, it's not truly the person that you lost. Like it's only a piece of them or something evil attached to it or they're completely different. So it's like, as much as we would love to have our loved ones back, obviously we are not going to get them back with something like this. It's just going to be something completely different or it's going to go horribly wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, things continue to just go horribly wrong for everybody in this movie. There's a rule that says punish your characters, treat your characters poorly. That's what gets the audience hooked. And this movie treats its characters pretty poorly. Andy slips and falls in the shower after seeing his dead dad and ends up waking up in the hospital. And so you're worried. You're like, you're worried for Piper being there with this crazy lady and the bathtub demon. And this is where we get that scene where Laura's in the hospital. Andy like tries to leave and they classify him as dangerous or aggressive or whatever. Laura talks about it later that he had a psychotic break and they just release him later. But this is where Laura reveals that she killed her dad. We're still not fully sure how she did it. They don't really give us much insight beyond that. And Laura, back at home with Piper, ends up they're watching emotional videos together too. I think this is before the hospital visit, actually. And you see, like, Piper can't see in the video, she can only hear, but Laura calls Ollie's name in the video of Kathy that they're watching. And it's a little redhead boy who doesn't look anything like the Ollie that we've known to love, the boy who loves to chew on knives and cantaloupe.
Oh god.
But Sally Hawkins, her character is at the hospital with Andy and is like, I promise I won't take her out in the rain. Cut to, they're in the fucking rain. This woman can't be trusted. It's pretty insane. And this is where Laura starts to really prepare for her plan. Andy gets out of the hospital. She's watching the videotape over and over, hoping that it works. She ends up taking Andy's body spray, spraying herself with it, going and in a very, like, upsetting scene, like, fucking hammer fisting Piper in the face when she's asleep and running out of the room and the spray to make her think it was Andy. So she's trying to put a wedge between them and prepare for Andy to kind of be out of the picture at this point.
Once you see this happening, you kind of learn you learn when Andy had, like, that vulnerable moment with Laura, like, he said, their dad would abuse him as a kid, but he never hit Laura at all,
You
and
mean Piper?
Andy oh, Piper, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
is such a
never
detail to drop too, man.
exactly, and he's like, Piper never knew about that. He did it when, she wasn't home or whatever. And it's just like, damn. So you see that obviously had an effect on him to where he probably was like, okay, well, why isn't she ever getting hit? And he like started trouble or getting into trouble at school, which is why he was labeled like a troublesome kid. But it was like he wanted that attention from his dad, like good attention, nothing bad, but like,
Well, I think any attention he could get at this point, even just like attention-seeking behavior can you could be seeking negative attention too.
true, yeah. And it got to the point where he hit Piper or Andy hit Piper himself because, he just like reached a limit there. But he felt guilty about that like immediately after. And then you can see, like, okay, maybe that's why he's more so of that, protector brother for her because he feels bad. And you can see he clearly loves her. Like, it's not like he's been like faking like that type of relationship with her, or he has resentment towards her at all. But yeah, Laura ends up like bringing that up to Piper. So now she's like full on manipulating the situation there to literally keep that like, drive that wedge like you said in between them.
And Andy loses it in this moment and punches a wall, and you God, it feels so good to see him fucking really show that he could give it to Laura, but you're just like, "Andy, man, you can't do that. I want you to do that, but you can't do that." But so he gets on top of it, goes to Wendy, their case manager, and while he's waiting, he sees a poster for a kid, which I think is an actual photo of a Jonah Wren Phillips that they used for the movie, but it's a missing kid poster for this kid Connor. He takes the poster, goes to Wendy, and is like, "Did you do background checks?" Or and Wendy's like, "Laura's been working here for 20 years," and he gets Wendy to go over to the house, and this is where I mean, I'm like fully on the edge of my seat when he goes to Wendy and they get there and Wendy's not fully on board. Andy breaks into the backyard to catch Ollie eating the face of Kathy in the freezer. And while Wendy's going through and is kind of like, oh, fucking kids or whatever, she sees the blood on Laura's hand because Ollie goes after Laura pretty aggressively while Andy's going to talk to Wendy and like is trying to eat her, gets a good bite in on her. It's a fucking horrific scene. I want to say Ollie is also eating a table at one point. He's totally trashed the house. And they actually had, it's pretty clear it's prosthetic teeth, but watching the behind the scenes of him chewing on that table and the prosthetic teeth was really awesome. But I mean, Laura has like rushed to get the house completely clean for Wendy to come over, but it was all for naught because the blood is a total giveaway. Wendy hears Andy in the backyard being like, Wendy, Wendy. And it's like the whole charade is coming undone on on Laura. And Laura's just like, uh, she just fully, like, lets her crazy out and is like, "You don't get it, Kathy, we can bring her back, we can bring her back." And shit goes wild from there. They end up running. Andy and Wendy are trying to book it out of there. Oh, man, and you love that they're working together. You're like, "Yes, yes, yes, get out of here." And Laura comes and mows them over with the car. Wendy's dead. Andy's on the ground dying, and she drowns Andy in a puddle. We've talked about puddle deaths before, maybe in the Final Destination miniseries. It felt very M. Night Shyamalan's Glass to me. It felt like their homage to Glass. If you know, you know. But it just, oh man, a puddle death. It was so. This is the only moment in the movie where I'm like, what is the point of killing Andy? It feels so punishing. I don't hate it, but it's one of those horror movie things where I'm like, why this character?
Yeah, and I was even like, "Nah, he's gonna make it, he's gonna make it," but even too, I was thinking like, "Dude, just act like you're dead, just, like, stop moving, and then she'll think you're dead, and once she walks away, you could kinda, like, breathe," but I'm like, "He can't do much right now because he is hanging on to, like, that last sliver of life that he has there," and I was like, "Fuck, he like, Wendy's dead. He is now dead. What the fuck are we doing here?" And yes, it is one of those moments in movies that are unfair. It's like this person does not deserve to die. And what purpose does it like serve for him to die? Nothing. This is just one maniacal bitch that we are dealing with. I was devastated.
Yeah, it's pretty upsetting, and I don't know if there's, like, a moment at a certain point where Sally Hawkins is doing her blood circle on the window. I don't know at what point that comes into play, but I wanted to shout out that imagery. It's very cool. Everything that takes place in the rain looks pretty awesome, but, like, after all of this devastation, Piper gets picked up from a sporting event that she was participating in. I don't know what the sport was. I wanted to look it up before recording. She's wearing some pretty awesome, like, plague doctor esque mask. I don't know if that's insulting to say that. I apologize to any people who are visually impaired, but the mask looked kind of cool. The sport looked kind of cool. But so Piper gets brought home from all of this and hears Andy's voice upstairs. It's actually Ollie. So the idea is Ollie's eating a little bit of Andy. That's even more horrific. Laura or Piper knows pretty quickly that it's not Andy and fights back. And you love to see her fight back. She kind of knows her way around the house a little bit, but it's all unfortunate because she runs into a pole. It almost feels insulting to have her run into a pole. Nobody in my audience laughed. I'm glad they didn't play that as a bit. It just felt like, oh man, we're really doing that to her. She's gonna hit a pole. And the pole, I don't remember if that comes at before or after her discovering Andy's body, but she discovers Andy's body through feeling his face and touching the braces. I thought that was a great touch.
Mhm.
Made it even more tragic. She wants Andy to get up and she can't. But Piper's left a pretty fucking rough situation. Like Laura's got her on the ropes.
The sport is called goal ball. So,
Goal ball?
yeah, so it is
Goal ball.
yeah, the ball I guess has like little bells inside it. I don't know. I really want to like look more into that now.
Maybe that's the sport that Slaughter Ball is based on.
Yes, definitely. We had it first. But yeah, that part got me mad too because I would assume that, Piper has a good feel of the house and is pretty comfortable there. So she should have like a somewhat of a solid understanding of the layout of the house,
What if
but
we cut to, like, a flashback in that moment? Or, like, at some point, it's, like, Sally Hawkins, like, putting up a pole real quick in the middle of the house.
yeah, that would have been more believable, but for her just to, like, hit it there, it's like, 1, you just felt that, and 2, come on now. I figured you know, I don't know. I agree with you. That was pretty insulting to do that to her.
It's pretty rough, but so well, so, yeah, but before Piper I'm, like, mixing up the order, but before Piper gets knocked unconscious and all this, v Laura does deliver a pretty good speech where she's like, "I found a beautiful angel," and, she basically reveals yeah, this is right before she hits the pole, she reveal Piper's like, "What are you gonna do?" And she's like, "I'm gonna drown you now." And it's so as you said, to steal one of your words, devastating to hear. And it's so matter of fact, too. This is a character that's spent so much time being full of shit. And just to hear them for once say what they're going to do, it really is kind of jarring. And I like that touch. It's like, okay, yeah, this is where we're at. She can't hide it. She's going to drown her. And Piper ends up getting knocked unconscious, and she takes Piper to the pool, this rainy pool, and starts to drown her. The takes are they look like continuous. I was like wondering, did they have an air pocket or something for her to breathe in? It was a very somber and melancholy and just dark scene. Ollie is just sitting there. He walks out almost comedically with like a big belly. That's a reveal. It's like, oh, Ollie's been just munching on that freezer girl. And Laura can't go through with drowning Piper because Piper comes up and yells, "Mom!" It sounds like she says mom, but the subtitle said mum. So I'm going to go with mum. But so yeah, it's a real Martha in Batman vs Superman situation. It kind of reminded me of that. Like, wait, you're Martha. Why'd you say that name? Your mom's name's Martha. But like, it reminded me of that a little bit. But I still really liked that touch. It's what breaks through to Sally Hawkins' character and kind of makes her look at herself like, what am I doing? This would be like if I were to drown Kathy. I can't murder this little girl. Look what have I done? There's a fat demon kid over here waddling around that I got to deal with now. It's just reality comes crashing in and she decides to make a different choice with everything.
And that surprised me as soon as she said, "Mom," and it just, like, hit Laura, like, "Yeah, what am I doing here?"
Mom.
Yeah. It's like, okay, now she's snapping back to reality and seeing, like, what she's doing is fucking wrong, and I'm like, "Wait, now she's hugging her?" I was so happy to see, like, Piper actually making her way to get out of the pool, and I was fully anticipating Laura to chase her. The fact that she didn't, I was like, "Great, she's gonna be able to escape." And I thought, you know, little Ollie was going to then attack Laura, but he still tries to go and attack Piper, and that little subtle pause there, or not subtle, but, like, her pausing because she, I guess, could, sense or feel Ollie behind her right before he tried to attack her. It's like, okay, you were able to pick up on that, but you couldn't remember this pole that you ran into, like, 20 minutes ago or so. That scene kinda bothered me.
The energy was a bit different when she ran into that pole. There
I
was a lot
know,
more
I know.
going on.
I
She had a
know.
bit more room for spidey senses in this moment. She got to breathe. She was like, "Okay, I can hear. I don't have somebody fucking monologuing in my face now while they're chasing me."
True. I was just a little mad because I was like, "Damn, you just fully let yourself get manipulated by this woman and now your brother is dead." So, I was nitpicky at that point. But yeah, so she's like making her way out. She actually falls down like a little hill, and Ollie reaches the point where it's the big circle around the house, and he does step over it, and whenever he steps over you see him like kind of convulsing and screaming in pain.
Really well acted by,
Yeah.
Jonah Ren Phillips too. It looks like he's in pain. I was like, "What did you do to this kid? Were you shocking him the whole time or something?"
Yeah, that was oh my god. He deserves a fucking award for this. And then this part confused me. So Laura goes to, the little freezer and carries Kathy's corpse to the water and just kind of like cradles her. What was the point of that?
She's dying. She, like, rips open her wound where Ollie bit her. When Ollie bit her, I was like, "Oh, it looks like he got her on, like, an artery. She might bleed to death if this doesn't get taken care of." But she rips it open even more, allows her to bleed to death, and just decides, "I'm going to die with my daughter." It's incredibly sad. The police come and find her. I think everything about this ending is actually pretty sad, and it almost like grief and loss leaves you in a place of, what do I do with this? What is the takeaway from all of this? Is there a lesson to be learned in any of this? Is life trying to teach me something? We don't really see the outcome of what happens to Piper. She flags down a car and these people pick her up. Laura dies in the pool with her daughter, and Ollie, while he gets found by the police, I don't know if that kid's ever okay. Connor is his real name, Connor Bird.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. He writes down Bird on a piece of paper earlier in the movie. Turns out to be his last name. It was like right before the knife scene, but yeah, nice little work right there. I like, because I was like, Bird, what the fuck? Why'd he write Bird? I
I
like
thought
when.
he wrote Lord on there. I could not read that for the life of me.
Oh, yeah, I was like, "What bird?" Like, I guess there might be a bird later in this movie, but it turns out he was the bird all
Mhm.
along. The real bird were the friends we made along the way. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think Connor is going to be all right at all. He's got a person inside of him that can't be good for his health. Like, his belly has expanded with how much he's eaten. His stomach might be bursting. It's the implications are horrific, and it almost is upsetting that we're left with that as one of the final shots. Ollie getting discovered, yeah, but I mean that kid is not going to be okay. We have like three stages of, like, somebody has accepted what has happened, and they ultimately end it all. You have Piper, who I think will in some way end up in a better position. She's lost a lot, but she's the one who makes it out the best, and Connor is just like, he's not going to be okay. There's no way that kid is okay.
That scene reminded me of this movie Deliver Us from Evil. Have you seen that?
Maybe it sounds so familiar. It might ring a bell as you talk about it.
Yeah, it's this one cop, he ends up, working with this former priest, or I don't think he was like an active priest, but like they start working on like a case with or dealing with demonic possession. But there was a scene where I think they were trying to exorcise this one demon from this guy, and the person who was possessed had like all these markings and like these like basically like a whole incantation carved on his body from head to toe everywhere, and they were successful in exorcising him. And the guy, he was still, alive, and he was crying after that. So it's like, damn, this guy was, like, alive during all of that. So he basically witnessed everything that this, like, demon was, like, thinking and doing and then inflicting all that pain on him, and now he has to deal with that, and every time he looks in the mirror or even looks at his body, he's going to be reminded of that. So this kid obviously, yes, is going to be dealing with all of the pain that he endured. He had to witness it too. He fucking has, like, cuts all in his mouth now from fucking chomping on a knife and wood for that matter. So it's
Oh,
like,
yeah, his dental bill is gonna be through the roof. That must like, when Sally Hawkins is covering his mouth when he's partially Connor before she turns him to Ollie, I was thinking, "He just had a knife in his mouth, and you're putting pressure on his teeth."
mhm.
That's awful, man.
Yeah, it's like 20 times worse than Halloween 2 when you see that kid pop up and he has like a fucking razor in his mouth from eating it from his candy. Like, oh my god, that poor kid. Poor Connor. He at least he was able to remember who he was and see that picture and say who he was when he saw the missing picture and he finally came to. But yeah, this kid is like fucked for life.
Yeah, it reminds me of the kid from Talk to Me who gets basically is the subject of all the horrific things throughout the movie. He like tries to rip out his own eye at one point in this fucked up scene. Oh man, that it reminded me of that a lot. These guys just really like to fuck up their characters in permanent ways.
Yeah, they really leave an impact on you when you watch these films. You are not in a happy state of mind after, unless you're Nick and you get to watch Talk to Me and have some good memories from that. But yeah, these films really leave you unsettled.
Yeah, but I had a blast with Talk to Me. I always do. It's such a well done horror film, and these guys are, again, I'll say it again, masterful at what they do. Not even just in horror, but as early filmmakers in general. I'd love to see where their career goes. I'm so excited for Danny and Michael Philippou. But yeah, do you have any final thoughts on Bring Her Back?
It was an insane watch. There are people who, like, almost everyone who has watched this film said to watch it, and they all hyped it up. You had said your piece on it. I did not know what to expect other than a fucked up movie. I will never watch it again. It was cool to cover it for the podcast, but my god, it is insane to watch. Guys, I really hope you watched it before you listen to our episode.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a movie that is over time going to find its fan base. And I think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're going to start seeing articles being written that are like, Bring Her Back, the overlooked horror masterpiece or the punishing experience of the 2020s. I I mean, it's more than punishing. There's a lot going on here. It's not saying like a whole lot new about grief, but the way what it's doing with grief works for me more than what a lot of horror movies do. And I think because it's willing to push a boundary and take you to such a specific place. And while this isn't the feel good movie of the year, it is probably gonna end up in my top 10 because I can't think of a horror movie experience that I've had like this in a long time. Maybe not since the 2013 Evil Dead have I had a theatrical horror experience where I was legitimately horrified by everything I was seeing on screen. And yeah, a lot of credit to this movie for that. I don't know when I'll ever watch it again. I'm glad we talked about it this year while it was still pretty new, and we can hopefully get people checking it out and get people hopefully maybe checking out Talk to Me if they got to see this one but didn't get to see Talk to Me, which I don't know how that would happen, but maybe that's the case for some people. But yeah, fantastic movie. I rated it 5 stars on Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd at Nicholas Ewers. It's gonna stay there just because, yeah, I can't think of a horror movie like this and a horror experience quite like this.
Guys, just stay tuned for whatever Michael and Daniel Filippo, I'm terrible, terrible, terrible with names, have in store for us, especially with Talk to Me coming out. And then also just stay tuned for our trick or treat commentary coming up. We are just flying through October and yeah, just having a good time with all these traumatic movies we got here.
Yeah, and on our trick or treat commentary, I guess we will announce the movie that we're going to be covering for the fan pick. Yeah, guys, get in on writing in about what you want to see. You have a little bit more time. By the time this episode drops, you have like a day, basically. So write in, get on it. At least I think that's how the release order is going with these episodes. But yeah, get on it. And quick plug too, go check out Blue Moon, the lovely filmmaker Richard Linklater, the Before trilogy. We've talked about that with Ethan Hawke. School of Rock, everybody's favorite Jack Black movie. Go support this dude's movies. I'm seeing it tonight. I gotta rush out of here when we end the recording. Keep movies alive and support movies like Bring Her Back. Support movies like Blue Moon. We gotta support the small ones, the indies. We can't always go see the fucking Avengers and the Deadpool versus Wolverines, or the Batman versus Superman. So, keep movies alive.
We've been Morbid Curiosities.
Yeah.